And then I just wanted to welcome you, whether you're watching the replay or you're here live, especially if you're here live. I just want to welcome you. And I have deep gratitude for you showing up. And also, I just want everyone to honor themselves for showing up. This is one of those things that is not a have to on your list, and yet you're curious, and that means that you're open to just learning more. And that often alone is something that we don't take time for. So, thank you for doing that for yourself. I I think I got where everybody was in the when I was chatting, but if you want to, there's also a group chat at the bottom. So if you hover over your video, a black bar will show up at the bottom with some options. If you don't see chat, you probably can hit more, and then under that more, you'll see a chat. You can put any questions you'd like into that chat bar. Any comments, I might ask for comments. We're going to do a couple of exercises. And if you want to share, that is the perfect place to do it. I will, of course, unmute everybody at the end and ask questions, but this is the best way to kind of give us your questions and not have to worry about forgetting them or not wanting to ask them at the end. And if you stick around to the end, I am going to give away a Desire Map planner that I have. And I'm going to raffle that off. We're just going to pick numbers. I haven't even picked a number yet, so nobody's cheating. So we're also going to talk about some upcoming workshops. So the first thing that I like to do when I do Desire Map workshops is I really like to kind of get ourselves grounded. And so I usually start with a reading from Danielle, one of her, if it's a Desire Map workshop, one of her poems or readings. And then I do a little exercise. So get yourself comfortable, and you can choose to close your eyes or not. That's up to you for this first section. But I'm going to read something that she wrote called The Bright Privilege. And just take a breath. Your aspirations are not a race, an exam, or a series of skill testing questions that permit you to proceed. Your every breath fuels your expansion into more sacred desires, eternal permission. Carry your dream like the dream wants to be carried, like a precious golden egg, an incredible torch, or the very cure itself. Whisper to it. Strap it to your back with your water supplies and climb, running. Put it on the parade float and hear people applaud. Feed it really good food. Don't tell a soul. It's a great privilege to dream, every imagining getting attention from the stars. And then to make the motion and mudras that turn light into matter, while there is nothing brighter than the place where heaven meets the earth. And now we're going to take a breath and do just a short exercise to kind of get us into our heart space. So you're invited to either close your eyes or just soften them and keep them gazed on a specific object, whatever's more comfortable for you. And then I invite you to put your hands on your heart and just breathe. Breathe into your heart and feel the expansion of air in your chest. And then let it out. And then feel the expansiveness of your breath as it comes in again. And allow it to soften your body and come into this moment. With this next breath, we're going to breathe in clarity, and we're going to exhale any of the worries that we had before this session. We're going to breathe in again And breathe out any of the to-dos or things that we have that we're worried about after this session. We're just going to come into this moment. We're going to come into our heart space and expand it. Now imagine as you breathe into your heart space, a light pink color swirls through your heart. A cotton candy pink. And with that cotton candy pink, there's going to be an opaque, milky white. And you see those two colors swirling in your heart space. And then add on a glittery gold. So now you have a light pink, a milky white, and a glittery gold, just swirling and expanding. Take one more breath into your heart and fill it up. Hold it for just a moment, and then let it go. And come back to your regular breathing. I'm going to ask some questions, and I want you to answer. I want your heart to answer. So you're going to ask your heart these questions. And just allow whatever comes up to come up. Don't judge it, just whatever comes up. So take a breath and ask your heart, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel at work? For your livelihood, for staying at home? How do you want to feel in your livelihood? How do you want to feel in your home? Just check in with your heart. Let your heart answer it, not your brain. How do I want to feel in my relationships? How do I want to feel in my spare time? And how do I want to feel about my beliefs and my spirituality? After you have some feeling words, take some breaths, big breaths. And see those feelings swirling with the pinks and the white and the gold. And then take a breath and gently come back to this space. Now, if you're not driving, because I know one of you are driving, feel free to throw some of those feeling words in the chat box. I'd love to hear what kind of feelings came up for you. And one thing that's not on my, sometimes I go on tangents, but I think this is important. So I'm just going through a 6-week Desire Map class, and what we discovered is that so often we start from our brain and try to go, well, how do I want to feel with all of this stuff that's going on right now? And to me, that's not good enough. We're not dreaming big enough if we're just worried about what's happening in our life now. It's really about how do we want to feel? How would we want to feel regardless of what's happening? You know, if we had a magic wand and woke up tomorrow, how would we want to feel about those areas? Thanks, Natasha. Comfortable, easy, connected, inspired, in flow. And Sarah, calm, at peace, relaxed. Yeah, I like all of those, especially today. It was a very busy day. So fantastic. Anybody else wants to share? Feel free. Again, the chat, if you just, I don't know how it is on the iPhone, but I know that on the computer, if you hover over the video, a little bar will come up and you'll see either chat or more, and you can find it through there. Great. So about the desire map. So we want to talk about the desire map and what it meant for me. And today's workshop is called How Do You Want to Feel? And there's many different versions of the intro workshop, mainly because in my view, the desire map does so many things. It has solved a lot of problems because when we can tap into our inner wisdom and our intuition, the rest becomes a lot easier. So people have asked me, isn't that just for what you want to do for your livelihood, like fire starter sessions? And truly it's not. The desire map has 5 life areas that Danielle kind of lines out, and it doesn't matter. We want to be able to have our core desired feelings kind of cover all bases. It's something that we can use. It's a tool that we can use in any area of our life. So a little about my desire map journey was that about 10 years ago, I was really, really sick with gut issues. And, doctors kept telling me it was in my head and it was stress. And so I became a health coach thinking I could solve all my problems. And I realized that it wasn't just health related, that there was actually a lot of trauma and shadow work, shame, icky stuff underneath that I had to deal with, that I was kind of shoving away, which, was the physical manifestation of this gut problem that I was having. So I went through an organization called Woman Within. I did a lot of shadow work and I was healing. And I did a lot of other coaching certifications. And I realized that even though I had healed the past stuff, or, still in the process of, we're never, ever completely healed, I don't think. I had realized that I didn't know how to make decisions, and I didn't have this like inner wisdom or intuition or guidance system that I felt like other people had. I questioned my decisions. And then one day somebody asked me, how do you want to feel? And it was the first time that I was like truly stumped. I mean, the only question that stumped me before that was, what do you truly want? I had to start looking at, wow, I can actually make choices about what I want, in the same way that we can make choices about how we want to feel. If we think our life has been crappy up until now, then we need to make different decisions and have decisions and choices that are in alignment with how we really want to feel. Because one of the things we're going to talk about is what we focus on, it grows. We can find more of it every time we look for it. So we really want to readjust. And this question, how do you want to feel, is the way that we readjust that. We truly shift our whole perspective on how we make choices. What is a choice? Often we do routine things, not thinking that we could make another choice. I had a client who hated eating breakfast, and I was like, well, what's your breakfast routine? And she told me, and I was like, okay, so what's your core desired feelings? And she's like, airy and light and freedom. I was like, well, did you try eating breakfast outside? I mean, little things like that can really change how we feel. And then, it seems like a little thing, but all of these little things, they add up to alignment to what we truly want. So for me, when I decided how I really wanted to feel, I can make not only the little everyday choices, like what I'm having for breakfast, where I'm having breakfast, who I'm having breakfast with, all of those things. But we can also make giant goals that actually inspire us along the way, because I grew up in this house that was like, don't worry about being happy now. You'll be happy when you get your college degree and you get a good job. I don't know if anybody else got that kind of message, but like, you have to wait to be happy. You'll be happy when you have to sacrifice now, work hard. But that was definitely the message I got. And Danielle says, why can't we be happy on the way to being happy, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Each Desire Map facilitator, though, does have their specialties. Some of us are yoga teachers. I am not. Some do essential oils or crystals or all kinds of things I don't know about. I am a life coach, so I focus on helping people get through shift and change their perspectives and change their life. I work a lot with archetypal energies. I work a lot with visualizations and basically really great questions that you can go deeper. That is my specialty. So I just like to be honest about that because we all come from different aspects. And I want you to know what kind of flavor you're going to get today. If you saw this with another facilitator, you might see something completely different. So the short story of the Desire Map is basically you start in the heart, you come up with how you want to feel, and then you create your life with that intention. That's the basics of it. So, there's no cheating or stealing. You can go do this all on your own right now. There is a Desire Map book. You could use that. The workbook, you can completely use that and go through these. We do offer workshops because there's deeper questions, and sometimes when we work together or in connection with other women, new ideas come up. Some kind of divine serendipity happens where we kind of learn off of each other and we kind of really grow together. But basically, we start in the heart. And the reason that is because everything we do starts in our heart. We think that our brains work really fast and our brains solve things, but our brains don't actually do any of that. Our heart solves things, and then the brain has the perspective that supports it. So, for example, we see a tiger and we start running first. That's a feeling. The feeling comes first. We get scared of that tiger well before our brain says, oh, hey, look, that's a tiger. It might eat you. It's scary. You're going to want to run away from that. It's a reflex. Our reflexes actually come from our feelings. You can see that when we get scared and we're just like, wow, like that's the feeling. We don't really think about, oh, I should scream now. And it's proven with science that, the heart is where everything is generated and that we connect to things 5,000 times more when we feel something about them. The great thing that I learned when I started doing my own personal growth work was Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I don't know if you've ever read that. I highly recommend it. It was the book that completely changed my perspective and was the first book that I realized I could actually choose how I wanted to feel. Granted, it doesn't work 100% of the time. It's not like I could be grieving and be like, oh, I'm just not going to grieve anymore. I'm not going to be sad. And there is a way that we can make choices that align with how we want to feel that could bring us more of those feelings. So basically, the whole process is feel, perceive, and act. So we feel our feelings, and sometimes our feelings are just, hey, for this meeting today, I need to feel courageous. That is great. Momentary, knowing what you need to feel in the moment is helpful. The second piece is core desired feelings. They're a little bit different. These are at the core of who you truly are. These are the words, the feelings that you really connect with, that light you up and inspire you to be the best you want to be. And those are ones that are usually pretty solid, that kind of transcend all of the 5 life areas, and truly tell you at your core where, what your decisions can align with that would make sense for you. That's your true north, basically, is what I call it. They're how you want to feel most of the time, your preferred states of feelings. And then the second part, the last part, I mean, the first part of the desire map is really getting clear on those core desired feelings. The second part is creating your life with intention, basically building those goals with soul, the ones that truly, truly inspire you. And the reason this came up, Danielle came up with this beautiful process that works for everyone. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. Is because many years ago, she was doing her New Year's resolutions, which were just about that time, right? And she was doing her New Year's resolutions, and she suddenly realized that her list was paying off the credit card, booking a family vacay, getting a book deal, having friends over, but it suddenly became feeling like a to-do list. Like she wasn't truly inspired by the things that were on there. And instead, she asked herself, how do I really want to feel throughout the year? And then how can I build back from that? And if you look at it, it's just like a vision board, or at least my perspective of a vision board. So I'm sure we've all done a vision board. Anybody done a vision board before? Let me take a sip of water. And they're great. They can really help us get clear on some of the things that we want in our life. But if you're like me, I'm a pretty simple person that, a fancy car doesn't really do it for me. A big house doesn't do it for me. Nothing against them. I just don't like maintaining expensive things. That's personal choice. But that's just not for me. So to put all those things, even when you put like a picture of a happy family on the vision board, it never really made sense to me. Like I never was like, how does this help me in everyday decisions? Like how does this help me when I'm in the shampoo aisle and I can't choose a shampoo because there's so many darn choices? How does the vision board help me? How does a vision board help me decide what I should be eating for breakfast or how I should be treating my family and my relationships? And it doesn't. It's a very masculine version of dreaming. It's, dreaming the materialistic things or dreaming the things that you can kind of put your finger on. The feminine version is really all about our heart and our gut, our inner wisdom and our inner knowing and how things feel. And so the vision board is just one step to the desire map, basically. So if you have a vision board, all you have to do is ask yourself, if I had that thing, how do I think I want to, how do I think I would feel? Because that's why we really put those things on our vision board, because we want to feel how we think that thing is going to make us feel when we get it, right? If we have that big house, will we feel successful? Will we feel free, spacious, abundant? What is the feeling that we're actually looking for with that house? It's a representation. It doesn't mean that the house is not something we truly desire. It probably is. However, if we understand how we want to feel, how we think that thing's going to make us feel, we can actually bring that into the present. We no longer have to do that. I need to sacrifice and not be happy until I get this thing. We can actually make choices to feel that abundance or that happiness or that success today, rather than just saying that we can't have it until we have that thing specifically on that board. The other thing about a regular vision board for me was that, I don't know if this has happened to you, it's happened to a lot of people. We build these giant goals. We think that we're going to be so excited when we get there. And then when we get there, it's just like, oh yeah, did that thing. And then maybe you've moved on to something else, or you forgot to celebrate it, or it really just doesn't feel like you thought it was going to feel. You thought you were going to feel so accomplished, so valued, so admired. And all of a sudden you realize you don't feel that way at all. So if we choose to bring those feelings into the present, we can guarantee that we're going to feel that way because we're making ourselves feel that way now. We're not waiting and hoping that when we get there, we're going to feel how we want to feel. We're kind of putting some insurance into it by bringing it into our everyday. So now I'm a cynic. So when I first heard this, I was like, you can't just tell me I'm going to figure out how I want to feel and then every day is going to be glorious and successful and happy. Um, and truly, that's not how it works. I can't say that today you're going to. My core desired feelings are connection, compassion, magic, and flow. And I can promise you that every moment of my life does not feel like magic and flow and connection and compassion. It's just the way it is, especially if I'm in a grocery store on a Saturday afternoon. Connection and compassion really struggle. So I don't want you to think that this is going to magically change everything, and yet it does magically change everything at the same time, because what we focus on grows, just like I was talking about before. Whatever things that we're looking for in the world, we're going to grow. So if we're looking to see how crappy our life is, indeed, it will be, and you'll find lots of evidence. However, if we're constantly focused on our core desired feelings, not only are we looking for them more in the world, we're making more choices in alignment with them. And when I talk about breakfast, again, I don't know why I talk about breakfast. I don't eat it as much as I should. However, it's like the first decision of the day for many people, the first conscious decision of the day, I guess. If we look at that, and I think about connection, compassion, magic, and flow, you could be like, well, what does that have to do with breakfast? Well, for me, I often want to start the day with the least healthy thing. Maybe a donut, some type of sugar or pastry, something that I know is going to make me crash by 10 a.m. And if I do that, I know that that's going to impact my ability to feel magic, flow, connection, and compassion because I'm going to be crashed. So that is the importance of constantly focusing on these feelings. Is like, no, you know what? I want to feel connection and compassion. I should probably have a low carb, high protein kind of breakfast so that I can be alive and awake and make sure that I'm really connecting with my clients and, hearing them and being present for them and not crashing and wanting to fall asleep. The other thing is, it's not just these, like I said, it's not just the little goals. We're going to build bigger goals that really, truly inspire us. So instead of, I have a client that I just talked to today. She's constantly trying to build her core desired feelings to solve a problem. Like she's not satisfied at work, so she wants to feel fulfilled. So she's responding to her feelings to a problem. And what I want to say is if you do this on your own, scrap that idea completely. Scrap all of the needs that you have. Focus on your wants, what you would truly want, no matter what life you had, no matter what your situation was. How would you want to feel? That is really, really essential, because if we're constantly trying to make how we want to feel just a response to what's happening, we're constantly a victim to the situations that are happening. We're not actually crafting a life that we want. We're kind of just pushing off the uncomfortableness of what's happening in our life. And those are two different things. Chasing what we really want and avoiding pain are two different things. So we want to make sure that we are focused on what we want, not necessarily what we think we need. That's a really key piece that I'm not sure everybody goes over. So I just want to say that because it makes a huge difference on how we connect to those feelings. We want feelings that are going to light us up. And if we're just creating feelings to solve a problem, those things don't light us up. Those things just solve problems. And again, I just want to repeat again that this doesn't mean if you decide how you want to feel, it doesn't mean that you're always going to feel that way. You're still going to have a sadness if you're grieving or going through something. You're still going to have stress. You're still going to have to manage all of those. It's just that we have a tool to step into our feelings rather than rather than just kind of sitting and allowing our feelings to kind of take over, because our feelings are important and yet we're still in control. So it's important to understand that. And so, as I was talking about before, I talk about archetypal energies. And this energy is really beautiful. It's the crone energy, which a lot of women get offended by. So I want to say wise woman energy, where we can know that we can feel this sadness, this anger, this shame, whatever this uncomfortable feeling is. And we could still be open to feeling all of the great feelings that we want to feel. We actually can hold both of those. And that is the job of our wise woman energy, is that she can hold both those energies. It's an and both. It doesn't mean one or the other. Okay. So one of the things that, one of the exercises that Danielle puts here is that to really speak and allow ourselves to feel good. This is probably the hardest part for most people, is to allow themselves. We can come up with so many excuses of, I was going to be happy, but I couldn't because I was going to feel abundant and splurge on myself, but I decided not to because, and sometimes those are valid. And sometimes it's because we just constantly are defaulting to putting ourselves last, or, staying on the course that we're on, whatever it is that we think we know about what we should and should not do, or obligation. So obligation keeps us from feeling how we really want to feel. And so in the Desire Map course, we really look at what is obligation and how can we switch that. How can we shift that in our brains to what is actually an obligation and what we choose to have as an obligation. And that's a big difference, because then when we see that, when we can see what the truth is, we have more choice. So right now, I give you permission to feel however you want, to really want specific feelings, even if you think they're selfish, even if you think somebody else will judge you. And so for the next minute, I'm just going to take a moment, and this may seem a little strange to you, but since I have y'all on mute, you're just going to hear me repeat this, but I want you to close your eyes and repeat it to yourself at home. Everyone's muted or you're watching a replay, so no worry if you feel silly doing it. But we're just going to repeat, feeling good is my primary intention. Feeling good is your primary intention. Now, if you're getting a trigger from that statement, again, several years ago, I probably would have had the same thing. That martyr in me would be like, what do you mean, me feeling good? Like, isn't that a millennial speak, that it's all about me and I need to feel good? And that's not what this statement is saying. This statement is saying that it is my responsibility to ensure that I feel good, basically. It is my intention to feel good. It doesn't mean that you're going to sacrifice all else for that, because sacrificing means that you should only be giving up for things that are sacred. So we want to make sure that we, all the things that we actually do need to do in a day, we're still doing them. It doesn't mean that we're, dropping our life and moving to Tahiti to feel good. It means that feeling good is my primary intention. I have all these things to do, and I still intend to feel good and make that my primary focus and intention. So I'm going to repeat this for about a minute, so feel free to close your eyes and just repeat it to yourself, so that you can really kind of speak it into ourselves, because our brain listens to everything we say. And the more things that we say great to ourselves, the more we encourage ourselves to dream and do great things and tell ourselves great things, the more our brain believes it. And we do a lot of negative talk. So spending a few minutes really allowing yourself is essential. So feel free to close your eyes. Take a breath. Feeling good is my primary intention. 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 And then just take a breath and come back to the room. And if you want to say anything that happened to you, sometimes people just suddenly soften and open. That's beautiful. The one thing that I wanted to talk about yet was this feeling good. So often we want to section that to one section of our life. We think like the feeling good has to be outside of work or outside of our spirituality or whatever. And like I said, Danielle really looks at 5 completely different areas. And she talks about livelihood and lifestyle. So that's all of our things and what we do. Relationships, creativity and education, spirituality and essence, and our well-being. Of course, that one came last for me. Our physical well-being and health. So it really does transcend all areas of our life. If you've seen other reels of life, there's like 12 or 15, but those 5 really encapsulate everything. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a couple of worksheets to work on that will help you kind of get underneath. Just start looking at yourself from different aspects, because sometimes we're constantly asking ourselves the same questions. We come up with the same answers. So Danielle's really great about coming up with all kinds of different questions and kind of helping us come from all different aspects. And then there's probably some worksheets that I have as well that I want to send you so that you can really start diving in a little bit more if that's what you choose to do. I'm assuming you are because you're here. Um, and oh, what I'd really love to hear for those of you who are on, if you did the Danielle 2020 word of the year, let me know what your word came out. If you have done that, there was a 5-day, I think it was 5 days, correct me if I'm wrong, But there was a little challenge of finding your 2020 word, and I'm just curious about that for all of y'all. I haven't done my words for 2020 yet. I'm kind of a last minute girl. I'm going to do it with my New Year retreat at the end of the year. So just one more minute. I just want to talk about some of the feelings that people have come up with because so in my personal growth world and when I sit in women's circles, and for those of you who have sat in my women's circles that may be watching this, we usually work on 5 feelings: mad, sad, glad, fear, and shame. And that is not Danielle. That's not this kind of work. So a feeling to Danielle, how you want to feel, is any word that you truly connect with, that really inspires you and makes you happy and jazzes you up and gets you excited about moving forward. Those are feeling words. So I had this really beautiful one come up just during our class. Somebody came up with the word thirsty, which to me is like hungry and thirsty. I don't know if I want to feel that all the time. But for them, it was like hungry and thirsty for life, like wanting just to drink it all in, and that is beautiful. So a feeling word in the desire map world can be anything that you really connect to. It can even be a phrase. Another one that I love that I heard someone has is kind of a big deal. And that way she can feel like egotistical in a very, fun, loving way. Like she doesn't take herself so seriously. And at the same time, she remembers her power and her beauty. So whatever feels good for you. Here's some other ones that come up: energized, delighted, like an orgasm, calm and relaxed, bold, connected, empowered, superpowers, vibrant, vivacious, enraptured, sexy, solid, beautiful, strong, centered, invigorated, alive, accomplished, fearless, inspired, turned on, balanced, flowing love, at peace, fired up, passionate, like a rock star, blessed. So really start looking for these words that kind of light you up. Even look them up. Or if there's a word that you're like, oh, I like this word, but I'm not sure that it lights me up, go to a thesaurus and just see if there's words that really light you up. And this is basically the gist of how do you want to feel. It's changed that one question has changed my life completely. I became a desire map facilitator this year, but I have been using it in my coaching for many years. I've made all of my clients go through the desire map process before, because no matter what area of their life they want to work on, this is the one tool that I believe helps just about everybody. Because no matter what they're struggling with, I can just ask them, well, what are your core desired feelings and what does that mean? What does that connect you to? What choice does that connect you to? So there we go. I did it in 47 minutes. So I have a couple minutes to tell you about my workshops as well. So if you want to go deeper, I really invite you to. I have this awesome workshop happening on December 27th through the 29th. It's a virtual workshop. And it's a virtual retreat. So I'll send you a package with the book and the workbook, and all kinds of like little at-home retreat treats. And then we'll meet for about 3 hours on Friday, and then probably 6 hours on Saturday and Sunday, kind of broken up with breaks. It's a really great way. As you can see, we usually all get on Zoom, and because it's a small class, we'll all turn on our videos if possible, and we'll chat with each other, which is really great. We can share. So many beautiful things happen when women come together and kind of connect and really share what's happening for them. So there's a New Year's Eve one. I also run new moon circles. So if you're interested in New Moon Circle, they're completely free. It's a free online thing. I'm going to pop all these links into the chat. So if you can access the chat, and of course I will send them to you as well. But you can take $100 off any event with this little intro code, whether that's a 6-week workshop or a retreat workshop. And again, the new moon circles, I do these with Desire Map with our core desired feelings. I really bring them in. New moons are all about setting intentions, so it's the perfect time to talk about core desired feelings. And I think I will be starting full moon circles soon. So if you're not on my list, make sure you get on my, well, you'll be on my list now that you're signed up for the workshop. And then the Sedona retreat. I just opened up registration for that now. So you can get in. Don't tell anybody I told you, because the people who are interested first were supposed to get that first, but I just released it. So feel free to register for that. So all the links are there. And that's it. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then we're going to do our little raffle. Hold on, let me stop the recording. Bye, recording people. Feel free to give me a call or email me if you need something.